Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. I am back with another true crime video, and today we are going to be doing the story of Reverend Sechaba, Paul, Rakoloti, and Gomolemo, Moshweu. Now, if you're new to this channel, I try and do these videos often, so please do check out the playlist. I've done a couple already, and I will be doing more in the near future. Now, before we dive into today's video, I just have one disclaimer. This case has not had its day in court, so I do have to stress that these are allegations for legal purposes. Now, with that said, and without wasting any more time, let's dive into today's video. Today's video takes us to Johannesburg, South Africa. Reverend Sechaba Paul Rakoloti was born on the 6th of March 1983 in Johannesburg, South Africa. He is the only son in his family. He had two sisters, one of whom unfortunately passed away in 2015. He grew up in a very warm, loving family with both of his parents, whom he was very close with, especially his mother. Unfortunately, his father passed away in 2004 when he was 21 years old. Sechaba went to Tokotaba Secondary School in Johannesburg, where he completed matric in the year 2000. His friends during this time described him as someone who was fun and loving and very personable, and more than anything else, as someone who really loved his family and would move mountains for them. After matric, he went on to work numerous jobs. He worked at a call center. He also worked as a license and learners booking agent, and thereafter, in 2008, he secured a job with Standard Bank and would work for them until 2015. Although he worked all these jobs and gave his best and excelled at them, he really didn't want to do this all his life. He was very passionate about entrepreneurship and decided to pursue this instead. Over the years, he dabbled in many different businesses and was not afraid to start something new. Now, because he was very good at cooking, he decided to start catering, and this was the main form of business that he did. These are just some of the few things that he prepared. Now, naturally, because he was catering for events, big and small, he decided to extend his business, offering not just the food but also decor as well, and he also did pretty well at that. While these businesses were doing pretty well, he didn't stop at that. He was also selling different items on his social media platforms, including in pots as well as beautiful fruit baskets that he would deliver himself. Life was generally going pretty well for him. He was working very hard, not just for himself but also his extended family, including his mother, his sister, and nieces and nephews. He loved his family so much and wanted to provide for them. Sechaba was not only interested in business but also was a devoted Christian and had always held prominent positions in his church. He took particular interest in preaching, and that is when he started the journey towards being a reverend. And in 2018, he was ordained as a reverend, and his family and friends were extremely proud and happy for him. And he took this role with pride and honor, and the people in his congregation really loved him, and he really honored this position. In the very same year, in 2018, this is when he met a young man named Gomolemo, Moshweu, and they started what I can only term as a whirlwind romance. Now, a lot of people I've spoken to say that they were quite different or quite opposites when it came to their character or most things. For one, he was much younger in age, he was actually still at school, and he was reserved. So unlike Sechaba, he was more reserved, he kept to himself and wasn't really a people's person. So the term opposites attract really applies in their case when it comes to this. Nonetheless, on the outside looking in, they really looked like they were in love, and Sechaba really loved documenting their relationship on social media. He was often posting their pictures together when they were out on dates, and they would wear matching outfits, and he would post. They went on many vacations, both locally and internationally. They went to Phuket, and Sechaba was really excited about this because this was his first international trip, and he documented each and every stage from the day he got his passport all the way until the day they landed in Phuket, and it was just so cute for people to watch. So everything seemed to be going really well, but so the only red flag that was ever there, and at the time it didn't even seem like it was a red flag, was when Sechaba was playing one of these Facebook games. I call it a Facebook game because I've really never seen anyone played anywhere else on social media other than on Facebook. There is normally like a bunch of questions that are circulating on on social media, and then people would copy and paste it onto their own page, and then they would answer them. So Sechaba was playing this type of game, and they were basically asking him about his relationship. So these are some of the answers that he gave. So the first question says, who is older? He then responds, me. The second question is, who was interested first? And then he says him with a silly emoji. And then the next question is, same school? No. Most sensitive? Sechaba says me. Worst temper? And then he says him. Loudest? Me. Funniest? Not applicable. We have no time to be funny, with a laughing emoji. Most social? Me. Most stubborn? Me. Wakes up first? Me. Stays up the latest? Him. Biggest family? Me. Cries the most? Him. Better singer? Me. Better driver? Me. Better cook? Me. Asks for the most attention? Him. Nicest one? Both. He gets the most compliments though. And then, so what stuck out the most though was the temper one, especially considering what would happen later. This was probably the first and last time that he posted anything that was not so positive about his partner. And if anything, it was during a game, and no one really took it seriously, and it didn't really seem like a red flag at the time. Nonetheless, the relationship continued, and within 6 months of them being together, they decided to get married. They got married on the 9th of December 2019 in an intimate ceremony where they were surrounded by friends and family. And this day marked the beginning of the rest of their lives. Their relationship showed no signs of fault or slowing down, and things really seemed like they were going amazingly. Sechaba continued sharing their life on social media, and they documented their first Valentine's Day just 2 months later on the 14th of February 2020. They spent their first Valentine's Day as a married couple in their home, in their living room, which was fully decorated by Sechaba. And there was wine and cheese board, and it looked really, really romantic. They were going all out when it came to showcasing their love, and it was really beautiful to watch. A month after this, the 2020 pandemic started, and the country was on lockdown. Now, Sechaba started doing his church services at home via Facebook because church gatherings were not allowed. Now, friends close to the couple speculated that perhaps during this time when there was lockdown and they were finally forced to be with one another indoors, this is perhaps when their troubles started. But unfortunately, they would not be documenting any of their problems, so no one really knows where everything started or how it started, in fact. But the general thing was that maybe because they had gotten married within 6 months of knowing one another, they hadn't had the opportunity to get to know one another well enough, and they only had this opportunity during lockdown. Nonetheless, on the weekend of the 24th of October 2020, just 10 months after they had gotten married, Sechaba had to travel to Northwest to attend a funeral. Now, because it was right in the middle of lockdown and the pandemic, he decided to go alone and leave Gomolemo back at home. He also had some studying to do because he was about to start his exams. So the plan was he was going to use the opportunity while the husband was away to study. Sechaba went to Northwest and attended the funeral, and the next day he drove back to Johannesburg. He decided to visit his mother first before driving back home and spend the afternoon with his family, and had an amazing time as per usual. Now, he left his mother's house, and this is where things get sketchy. So this is Gomolemo's version of what happened. According to him, Sechaba did not arrive back home after spending the day with his mother. After finishing studying, he left his bedroom and then decided that, you know what, it's getting late, let me go and lock the gates. And that is when he came across Sechaba's car parked outside. When he walked towards the car, the key was still in the ignition. He then said that the whole thing looked weird to him, and that is when he decided to open the boot of the car. Sadly, he was met by Sechaba's body, and unfortunately, he was no more. He then immediately called Sechaba's family and told them what he had just come across, and they told him that they would come. He then went on to tell them that he believes that he was probably hijacked, and the hijackers had brought him back home after the fact. Now, to say this does not make any sense is a minimization. How and why? Like, how do hijackers know where you live? Why would they care to bring you back after taking your life? Also, why are they bringing back the car with all your belongings back in it? So I don't know if this story was just made on a whim or what, but it was just not making sense. The maths was just not matching. Also, for me, the biggest red flag in this whole thing is who tries to make up scenarios. You see a car outside the gate. Why are you making up scenarios as to how it got there? Like, why is that your department? Like, why are you doing that? So the police were called and they arrived after Sechaba's family was already there. They then started working the scene. At the time, the scene was only just a car. So they worked the scene and then they went into the yard and then they started speaking to the husband and the family, just talking about what had happened. Now, as they were doing that, they noticed blood around the yard. So obviously they questioned the husband as to why do you have blood there? Like, why is there blood? And he immediately said, no, Sechaba wanted me to make chicken for him. So I decided to go buy a live chicken and slaughter it. So the police were not too convinced by the chicken story, so they decided to bring in cadaver dogs to go around the property just to sniff around and get a sense of what was going on. So once the dogs arrived, they went wild. They were not only sniffing around the yard, they wanted to go inside the house, and they went inside the house and they went to the bedroom as well as the bedroom. That is where they just could not stop barking. So the bathroom and the bedroom were actually quite clean, squeaky clean to the human eye, so no one could see anything. So they did not really understand why the dogs were barking. That is when the decision was taken to put luminol all around those two rooms. Now, what is luminol? It's like a chemical that you put. What it does, it lights up anywhere there was blood. So if there was blood and you wipe it and you clean it, you can put Jik and bleach or anything. But once they spray luminol on it, it will light up. They decided to put the luminol and the whole place lit up, the bathroom as well as the bedroom, which basically means that there was blood everywhere and it was just cleaned out. That is when Gomolemo was taken to the police station. Now, when he arrived, he was asked more questions regarding everything that he had mentioned, especially the whole chicken story. Now, that is one thing he just could not account for. He could not account for where he bought the chicken, when he bought the chicken, where was the chicken, what utensils he used to actually slaughter the chicken. He could not account for anything. And he was then charged with taking the life of his partner, Reverend Sechaba Paul Rakoloti. He tried to get bail in November of 2020 but was denied. Eventually, after appealing, he finally got it 2 months later in January of 2021 and has been out on bail since. Critical documents in his dockets are said to be missing and hence the case is not moving at all. There is fear amongst Sechaba's family that he might actually get away with taking his life without any consequences. If this does happen, he will actually be inheriting everything that Sechaba owns because they did get married in community of property. This month, on the 26th of October 2023, it's going to mark 3 years since Sechaba passed away, and the family is still seeking for answers and for justice. And we hope that finally, hopefully, they will get a verdict that is favorable to them and they will get answers that they so deserve. And with that, thank you guys so much for watching. We have come to the end of today's video. Really do appreciate you guys. Please make sure you stay safe out there. Bye.